Happy Tuesday, guys. I'm going to fly through this because I only have about 4 minutes and tutorial starts. So I got to get this done before you guys show up. Okay, so let's start. We're going to start with fantastic phrases, as always. This is list 15. Make sure you're taking notes on your phrases because remember, some of them are not actually what they mean. They have a literal term and then an actual term for application. So please, please, please take notes. Our first one, nol contendere, I do not contest it. This is a plea in court where the defender doesn't deny or agree to the crime that he's committed. This is going to be something like if, say, you hit a kid, please don't ever do that, but that's the only example I can come up with. Say you hit someone and they press charges against you and your lawyer just takes a plea bargain and you're not really agreeing to it, but you're not denying it. You will probably get a lesser sentence for this, maybe just community service, but it won't go on your record like it would if you actually admitted to the crime and pled guilty. So it's a little bit tricky because you're not denying the crime, but you're not agreeing to it. But since you're not denying that you did it, you're essentially agreeing to it, but it's more of a plea bargain is what it's saying. You're still punished for the crime as though you were guilty, but a lot of times when you plead nol contendere, it doesn't go on your record. You're more likely to get jobs and that type of stuff. So it's more of a plea bargain. The examples, the defendant entered a plea of nol contendere and was sentenced to 10 years. So you see there that 10, you're still being sentenced, but you're not technically guilty of the crime. Your second one, after Nick accidentally broke the vase, he pled nol contendere in the family court and was sentenced to 1 week of grounding. Your second one, antebellum, this means before the war. This is talking about the Civil War. You do not use this for any other war. This is anything that is doing with the time period before the Civil War. It's often written as one word, although it's separated in its true form. So our examples on this old house, an antebellum home in Virginia was restored. So we know that that home was built before the Civil War. You would never use that in reference to before the Revolutionary War or before World War II, so it's always before Civil War. Your second example, Caitlin enjoys collecting antebellum clothing such as hoop skirts, petticoats, and luxurious hats. So those would be all clothing that is geared towards the Civil War. Your third one, still a Latin phrase, in absentia. This means in one's absence. This is also a legal term that we use. No one can be evicted in an American court if they are not there. Absentia, so in one's absence. So if you cannot be convicted of a crime if you're not in court. This doesn't apply to other countries, so some of my examples have to do with other countries. You can also use this in voting. You can do an absentee vote, which is similar. You're voting, if you're living overseas, you can cast an absentee ballot, which means you're voting overseas, but it's still applying you're voting in absence. Jess was gone, but he authorized Ernie to vote in absentia, so this may be like, in this example, in like student council or something. If Callie was out, she authorized Libby to vote in her absentia for her. Authorities have requested that Cantor, a Turkish national and outspoken critic of President, don't know how to say that name, Erdogan, be sentenced to more than 4 years in prison and that he be tried absentia. So we see in Turkey that you can be tried if you are not present. Actually, that they are, in this case, requiring him to be tried, although he is not there. Nom de plume. This is a pen name. This is used when an author publishes a work under a false name. So this is like a pseudonym. Charles Litwig Dodgson used the nom plume. Lewis Carroll for most of his writings. If you could choose a nom plume for the book you were writing, what would it be? Go ahead and write that down. I think it'll be fun to hear everybody's answer there. So if you could have a nom plume, what would your pen name be? Okay, so I'm going to run through these root words real fast. You are going to define these words in class. Please write down the examples. You will define them. I will probably give each group a certain set that I want them to define. So if you're one that doesn't typically write down the examples or doesn't think much about it, please do, because another classmate will probably need those from you. So teamwork here. So here, Hess is to stick or cling, adherent, cohesive, inherent, hemi or semi. This is half. Hemisphere, semi-sweet, semi-conscious, or hemicrania. Bene or bon, we've actually seen one of these examples before. It means good or well. Bona fide, benediction, benign, or bounteous. All of those words somehow have to do with good or well. And our last one is mal, creepy picture there, bad or wretched. I was hoping that this would help you remember the word. If you can remember this picture, you can remember that mal means bad or wretched. Our example words, dismal, malevolent, malicious, and malodorous. Those are big words. So please don't define them, but write them. Please write these down. Sorry I flew through that. I feel like that was not my best, but you have the information there. So I hope y'all have a great evening. I cannot wait to see y'all tomorrow.